And we're live.
We're live.
Hello.
Hello. This is Listen In, a live music sharing podcast or popcast. I'm Kay.
I'm Alexis.
I'm Jesse, the Stream Master, and I want everybody watching to roll me an initiative. Oh, it's a 1! You're going last. We are going first. Here
Did you okay.
we go.
and, and we'll be your host today. Not playing whatever that was, but listening to and chatting about some great songs. Today we have a Korean indie jam with familiar 90s fuzz wrapped in lush otherworldly layers, a pop, R&B, and salsa influenced hybrid with a healthy serving of brass, and a lush electronic track that will open your mind. Before we get started on that, I think Jesse had a hot topic he wanted to bring up.
um, yeah, I feel kind of bad for ranting 2 episodes in a row, but here we go. So, I was listening to Beyonce's Renaissance this last week because I I initially was not feeling the big radio single "Break My Soul." Please don't cancel me or us. Um, uh, I have conflicted feelings about it. I like it, and I think there are things that I like less about it at the same time. I don't hate it, but I I like that it has Big Frida, who is a pioneer of the New Orleans bounce music scene, who I only became aware of in like 2015-ish, and already felt like I was late to the party a little bit, but I'm glad to see her get more success recently. But I heard that Break My Soul really makes more sense in the context of the album as a whole, from people who had similar mixed feelings on that single. And the thing is though, I have a hard time separating Beyonce as a cultural figure from Beyonce as an artist. Like I know she's a human being with her own interpersonal struggles and drama, but when her lyrics try to be relatable to normal people, I feel like I don't quite believe her. And then when she embodies her status, like talks about being a goddess or like an alien, I just can't relate at all. But like I appreciate that she owns it. Um, and I feel like the album is kind of an album of contradictions. So it's able to match up samples and musical references in a way that's never been done before, which is why she can have dozens of listed songwriters on a single song, but I wouldn't really call it innovative because it's not something that can be replicated by others. Like, who else has the resources or the clout to pull off what she's doing with so many samples, so many references, so many guest artists, that sort of thing. And another contradiction is that it takes a lot of risks and how different it is from like the mainstream stuff that's going on right now. But it's Beyonce who literally can't fail. So does that still count as a risk if she's doing it? So and I'm listening through it and I hear all these references and I'm like, oh, that sounds like T Swift. That sounds like Run the Jewels. That sounds like this chiptune artist that I like a lot, who probably like most people don't know, but she pulls in a lot of different stuff, which I like, which is good. Um, at the same time, like the flip side to that is it's not as like original because of all that, but the originality comes from the combination of all those things, which is still cool. Like I think having like new things out of old things is completely legitimate. And the complexity of it all is interesting to me on an intellectual level, but it doesn't have the emotional impact of more stripped down songs that she has, like Halo, for example. And sometimes to me, it just felt like she was putting 20 or 30 songs into a blender and seeing what popped out. And the most of, if not all of the album is very busy, has a lot of stuff going on. Uh, but it's like I have mixed reactions to most of the album. I liked Church Girl, which started out with like a sort of gospel soul intro, and was feeling um, America has a problem and summer renaissance a little more. But besides that, nothing really struck a chord with me. And I was kind of sad about that because I really wanted to be into this. Like this is a cultural moment for most people. And I wanted to be part of that. And I just feel like I'm a little left out. And then as I was listening in the car, the song came up at the very end of the album. And I was like, oh, this is good. I'm feeling this. Sounds kind of like an M&EK song. And it's, oh, this is like I guess a guest vocalist because it started out with this male vocalist who's not Beyonce. And then I realized it wasn't her album at all. We were on to the next song afterwards, and I liked it more than her album, which made me kind of sad. But I was like, oh, his voice even sounds like M&EK with softer inflections. Like if M&EK is Coke, this person is Pepsi. And then I look at like the little like still good. Still like I like that. I like M&EK. I like this
Is
person.
the implication that Pepsi is Coke with softer inflections?
Maybe. I feel like that's accurate. And I look at the little preview, like the little short video that's playing in Spotify, and this person even looks like M&EK, like similar
Oh.
face structure and glitter around the eyes, but not M&EK, like still not the same person, clearly. And then later, I once I parked, got to my destination, I had to look up the song credits, and guess who it's written and produced by? M&EK. The artist is Zach Campbell, and this is their first produced song. And uh, so the TLDR this week is I've been listening to M&EK.
I thought the TLDR was you like M&EK more than Beyonce.
This is also true.
I thought the TLDR was that you're trying to tell me that Beyonce does Anamanaguchi on the new album. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Not
Was that
quite there.
Uh,
Anamanaguchi is very chiptune-y, but like I wouldn't say that's the artist that she's drawing.
okay.
Who?
There-
Okay, you'll have to tell us who the artist is later. Post it in the Discord
Okay.
later, which means that everybody listening will have to join our Discord to find out who he's talking about.
Yes.
TLDL. That's correct.
TLDL, too long, didn't listen. Also during that, YESEO says, "How dare you?" and on Beyonce's internet of all places.
Can't believe you just
Fair.
Well, thanks for that rant. I will. I have not listened to the new Beyonce, and I hadn't really thought about whether or not I should. It just hadn't occurred to me as a thing that I could do. But maybe I won't, for
No.
the sake of avoiding disappointment. Unless it
That's the
comes
real
to me
hot take.
sometime. Yeah, that podcast host refuses to listen to Beyonce. They leave the room. No, I'm joking. She's cool. She's very rich. Anyway, Alexis, your song is first, so you can just go if you want,
Yeah.
or if you have a similar hot topic you want to bring up. The table is yours.
I wish I had a hot topic, but unfortunately I do not today. But yeah,
I
I'm
shopped
first.
at Hot Topic as a team.
And we all.
I think a lot of us did.
Yeah.
I think it was a little hard not to. They
Yeah.
had some sort of like, gravitational pull as you walk. You would just see something. It's like, oh, there's Hello Kitty there. And you're just like,
Right.
I gotta go.
That's true.
But anyways, I'm first today. That's so exciting. I'm so happy. All right, so today I'm bringing an artist called Meaningful Stone, and the way Meaningful Stone found me is one of chance. Perhaps the way they would have made their way to me eventually, possibly through the luck of the algorithm, or maybe even through this show. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, Kay. So there possibly would have been an unavoidable point where I would have reached and become a fan of Meaningful Stone anyway. The fortunate way it actually went down was from the creation of a playlist I made for my language exchange partner after her seeing I was an avid listener of Korean music and wanted to be introduced to the music. Fast forward a few months later, and after I made the playlist, a couple of songs from the wonderful Korean indie band J Rabbit was removed from YouTube Music, and so I set out to replace them. Um, Through this search is how I came across Meaningful Stone, who had recently released the music video to the song "Dancing in the Rain," and from there I have been a fan and even added a couple of their songs to the original playlist. So if it weren't for YouTube messing up my playlist, I would have never taken the steps to venture out and find them on my own the way I did. Meaningful Stone, or Kim Dol, is the music project of musician Kim Ji-min, naming the project because of how it reflects the ambition to make important rock music. Meaningful Stone, important rock. Don't think about it too much.
Oh, wait. Oh,
That's so
no.
good.
Really? That's so
Actually-
bad.
I love it.
Actually, Kim Ji-min has expressed in an interview how she likes to believe that she is the owner of all stones. So who are we to argue about the project's name since she owns all the stones in the known universe to begin with? Kim Ji-min expressed herself further on the project's name, saying that she believes that every stone has a meaning, and so any and every stone we may ever come across or encounter is precious as it has come from some meaningful place before, or through your intervention, is on its way to some meaningful place. Call me overly sentimental, but I believe what Kim Ji-min feels about stones too. The name of her project, Kim Dol, is actually a pun of her real name after converting it from the Korean Hanja language system, and so there is also a personal tie with the project's name as well. Kim Ji-min recalls how she's always asked her father for a guitar, and as she was growing up, and at the age of 17, her father bought her one. And ever since then, she's been writing music. Y'all are losing it. Kim Ji-min has expressed how she dreams a lot, and from her many dreams, she often gets a lot of artistic inspiration from them, which makes their way into songs. The theme of dreams is evident on many of her songs, and perhaps none are more evident than it is on "A Call from My Dream," where she has said this song portrays the many stories she hears from a phone that she answers in her dreams. The music of her project, Meaningful Stone, definitely matches, which is that of an indie rock band sound with dreamy layers over top and Kim Ji-min's soft, delicate vocals. Let's take a trip into the dream world with Meaningful Stone's A Call for My Dream. Enjoy.
넌 믿지 않겠지만 어젯밤 파란 꿈결 사이로 들어가 구름이 된 걱정 사이를 헤치고 네 이마에 쪽 입을 맞췄어 어지러운 단어가 많아서 가중에 누가 진짜 너인지
Hello? Is anyone there? I think the line is dead.
Is that a remote?
Yeah. It's another episode of Listen In where I bring a song that uses the phone as a audio little uh, fun thing.
You're
I
really
have a friend
phoning
who's
it
a
in at this point.
Yeah.
good one. I have a friend who has a playlist of just songs with phone rings or dial tones in them.
Ooh.
And it's called something like Pick Up Your Goddamn Phone.
Well, hopefully we get Meaningful Stone on that playlist eventually.
I think she may already be there.
Nice. And how about the rest of you? What are y'all picking up the phone for this one, or are y'all kind of just?
Who's the rest of you? Are you talking to
I'm
us or
talking
are you
about-
talking to the people on the chat? You talking to your wall?
This is tough. I'm talking to.
There's people.
It's
in
still not
walls.
right.
I tried. I'm talking to the both of you.
Talking to the both of us.
Yeah, this was super chill, very relaxing. Well, it was chill until it wasn't chill.
Uh-huh.
But like I was, yeah, very very calm on the verses, like the beginning. Like I love that slow doo-wop dance sort of feeling.
Mhm.
And I really loved how it progressed from there and like added layers of complexity. And then at the end, it kind of goes back a little
Mhm.
bit and lets us chill out after that big busy bridge that happens.
Yeah.
With the detuned dissonance is my favorite moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. This song, well, first of all, disclaimer for those listening who don't already know, I know this song already, but Alexis and I were like, this song is too good for us not to bring to the podcast just because we both know it.
Mhm.
I'm glad, Alexis, you're the one who brought it because I think you've been a Meaningful Stone fan longer than I
Oh.
have. My first introduction to Meaningful Stone was this song, just thanks to some random YouTube music video recommendation. And I love it, but I was going to say that very much like Beyonce, this song is rich. It is so rich. There's so many layers, and it builds and it builds and it builds and it builds. And I adore it. And then it drops out, and we get a drum fill, and the rhythm's so cool. It's just everything about this just is perfect.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean the amount of layers that it has, it is quite staggering, and I think putting it as rich is definitely a very accurate way of putting it. And um, like from the amount of times that I've listened to it, it's not actually until recently that I even picked up that it's in 12/8. You know, it's like I didn't even like bother to like, think about like what rhythm it was doing, what tempo, or what meter it was in, because there's so many interesting things that are happening that it kind of just swept me up. And as I was listening, I was always paying attention more to like the little, you know, details that are happening, sonically before I even bothered to even find out that it was in 12/8. And yeah, like there's just so much in this song, so much happening. Like I like the fact that there's like these very noticeable guitar and drum things that are happening. Like they're very prominent, like they're not buried, and they give them their chance to shine. Like there are like guitar moments where all the other elements kind of like fade back, as well as drum moments where like there's drum fills happening that kind of like transition between like parts, and everything else kind of fades away, letting those instruments have like their time to shine. But when you do pay attention to the other layers that are happening, like they're really pretty things. Like sometimes I don't even realize that there's a piano going on, but there is a piano. And it's like doing all these like little twinkly stuff. It's really really amazing.
One thing I noticed today for the first time is the like snare, almost like a marching band snare sound happening. I think it's going into the big bridge or out of the big bridge, and I don't remember which, but I hadn't caught that before, but it really drives the song forward so well. It makes it feel so natural.
Mm-hmm.
I almost feel like things are added and taken away so quickly in this song that literally everything feels natural
Mhm.
because at some point, like, that constant change is its natural state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesse, you weren't already familiar, so I'm
I
curious
was not
how
familiar.
digesting this song was.
I mean, it was not unexpected from like an Alexis point of view, from Alexis
Okay.
song. Um, Alexis has brought in some doo-wop stuff before, K-pop stuff before. I know Alexis is really into Korean music. And it builds and builds and builds, and that's another signature Alexis thing. I think it's really fun knowing now that like she wants to make important rock music, given that especially this song calls back to classic rock and roll. Like the even like the ooh oohs are very like I like not quite rock and roll, but like it made me think of Mr. Sandman.
Mm.
Um, and the doo wop I already covered that, but yeah, the I also really enjoy. I think we should maybe talk about the lyrics and maybe the music video too a little bit, where it's and the subject matter is about a dream and it's very dreamlike, and the lyrics are slightly nonsensical because they're talking about a dream. And that really fed super well into the bridge going all crazy and having all these like dissonant layers where there are like different parts thrown in and you can hear that it's a mishmash. And then I love how it kind of does that lo-fi underwater sort of sound
Mhm.
for a bit, and that really sucks me into like, oh, this is a dream. We are in the dream state now, and then uh, it has that extra dissonance as it's coming out of the bridge, and that kind of echoes for me the confusion of waking up and like having a weird dream and not knowing where you're at, and but then
Mhm.
things crystallize and clarify, and you're back in your chill, sleepy state.
Before we get to the music video, I wanted to read some chats. US Gaius says, now I want to call someone, have it go to voicemail, then play this whole song, then say, oops, wrong number, and hang up. I want
Oh.
to know how somebody would respond to that. So if you try it, please update us.
Yes.
And then I think building into the music video, well, if that's good for you all, Trick Switch says it is in the flow state. Um, and for some context, like I think everybody who hasn't seen it should watch the music video. Sorry, Alexis, I'm taking over your song.
It's
But
okay.
everybody should watch the music video. But it is actually like a lot of it is underwater. It's
Mhm.
about like being underwater. Um, and so that in the flow state is kind of
Mhm.
on point. You're flowing
Yeah.
underwater.
Yeah. Yeah, and when I was looking into this song, I feel like the the amount of things that we can like all the amount of detail that we can pull out just from one listening. I think that's evident with the fact that Meaningful Stone, she has expressed that this was the song from her first album that took the longest to write, or took the longest to finish. And uh, I feel like this is a pretty interesting contrast between me and Kay here, in that this is Kay's first song from Meaningful Stone, and this is not my first song from Meaningful Stone. And my first song from Meaningful Stone was more straightforward, more of like a kind of like typical rock song. So when I went to this song after first being exposed to them, I was like, whoa, I was like blown away. I was like, it's almost kind of night and day in terms of like sound and um, like energy. That you know it lets me really appreciate like what's going on in this song, because in a way this song is almost kind of like an island, in that you can see how much work she put into, or her and her bandmates put into what this song does, like on a kind of just like energy chart level, what is doing texturally, as well as like the attention to detail with all the um, other instruments and layers that are coming in. Like I'm not surprised that this is the song that she claims took the longest to write on the album, because like yeah, like it's just extremely detailed.
I feel like this is another song that has a melody that isn't super complex or unusual, but it's really the production and the instrumentation that brings it to that next
Hmm.
level. I think of when I think of that, I think of like Legina, whose melodies are often kind of sing-songy, and you kind of have that here with that first melody. You should just it could be like a children's song, really, but you put such a lush instrumentation behind it, and it becomes and like the weird rhythm stuff, it becomes something completely different,
Mm.
which is really cool. I forgot to warn if anybody's afraid of bunny heads. I have a friend who has a phobia of like bunny head costumes. So warning, don't watch the music video if you are
Yeah,
if that is not something that you can tolerate. It's a little horrifying.
yeah.
But if you can tolerate it, it's really fun.
Watch
It's
the
a
music video.
super
Yeah.
cool music video. And like the level of detail in the instrumentation that you're mentioning, like I think really adds to the thematics and the story, and like the fact that the instrumentation is constantly changing keeps us off balance the whole time. And then as you're watching the music video, like it's even more off balance. It's just like a synergetic
Hmm.
sort of experience. Yeah. All right.
Cool.
Yeah. I'm good.
Alexis, you want to share anything else about Meaningful Stone?
Yeah, I guess I can uh offer where I would say what to check out next if you are enjoying um A Call from My Dream. To me, I think since she's been writing music, or the band has been writing music for a while, there's not a whole lot of output, um, which is both fortunate and unfortunate. It's unfortunate because I want more, but also fortunate in that it's kind of easy to dive into their stuff. So they have the album, which is A Call from My Dream, where this song is from. And I would say if you like what's going on here, definitely check that out. My favorite song from the album is a song called Nameless. It's just so ethereal and so beautiful. I would say check that song out. And if you want something a little bit more digestible, check out the most recent EP that came out, which is called Cobalt. That is shorter, and I think maybe a little bit evident in terms of what direction the band is going, which seems to be more of a kind of rough and gritty, sort of grungy sort of sound, which I think I think can be kind of polarizing for people who might like really enjoy like the really um, embellished sounds that are going on from A Call from My Dream. To me personally, I am liking Cobalt. I just really like the raw energy that I'm hearing from the band, even though the music itself is a little bit more rougher and grittier. It still has its moments of prettiness, so it kind of balances it out, I think. So yeah, I would say check out the album, check out the EP. You can't really go wrong with either of them. Uh, yeah.
What's up
Awesome.
next?
All right, I'm up next.
That's not what, that's who.
Oh, what's up next is the band Brasstracks. That's
Thank
what's
you.
up next. Who are also a whom, because they're people. People make the music in the band. But Brasstracks is an American production duo based in Manhattan, composed of Ivan Jackson and Connor Rain, with Ivan on horns and Connor on drums, and both of them sharing production duties. Their work frequently spans between soul, R&B, hip hop, and all within one song. The duo formed in 2014 when they met at the Manhattan School of Music, and while they do have some purely instrumental tracks, given that they are a production duo, even on their own albums, the majority of their work is through collaborations, which they do with artists from the entire popularity spectrum. They work with artists who are just starting out with only a few thousand monthly Spotify listens, and industry giants such as Tori Kelly, Common, and Chance the Rapper. And I just found out they won a Grammy for their contribution to a single on his album called No Problem. They have also produced and written for Wyclef Jean, Harry Styles, Khalid, and Mark Ronson. So when I was doing the research for this episode this morning, I had a bit of an oops moment discovering they have some Grammy wins, and just in the context of their collaborations, I was like, oh, maybe they're too successful. But at the same time, I didn't even know they existed until I stumbled upon them through a collaboration with Lawrence on the same album as this song that I'm about to share, which is another favorite group of the podcast that we've mentioned before. And though they have achievements in producing, writing, and performing with others, I believe the work that they've published under their own name is special, deserves attention, and would provide enjoyment for our viewers, which is really the more important criteria in my mind. The album Golden Ticket, released in 2020, is interwoven with phone call voicemails, and it tells a story of their journey from early beginnings where people are doubting their style and artistic decisions through later success and popularity. Although I would guess that the voicemails are made up because, like, who leaves voicemails nowadays anyway? But when you hear the song we're about to listen to, that'll show up. The song's named Will Call. It contains vocals from singers Elliott Skinner and Victoria Canal, who we featured on Kay's birthday episode. And it really blew my socks off the first time I heard it. And hopefully you were also barefoot by the time we are finished listening. Here we go.
Yeah. Give me a second to follow him back. Yo. Oh shit, this is better.
Constantly, desperately, you're diamond in the rough. Honestly, I'm watching, waiting, playing, and I'm losing lately. Want my portrait of a lady, just to make you wanna taste me. And I'm getting sick and tired of crossing lines that seem so far off. You wipe me from your conscience, yeah, with your promise, yeah. Hate to bring it back, but I'm caught up. I miss it all. I don't know why, but lately, waiting will call. I hope my phone is off. I've been in my head. My fault. You're alone again. I'm alone again. On the road again.
Yo, bro. Yo, I'm outside right now. Yeah, I'm outside right now. These people said that they know you. They're trying to get in. let me know what you want me to do. Call me back, bro. All right, later.
Alexis, that's that's also not a phone. No.
No wonder.
Was that a will call pun?
Uh,
A lot of phones today.
Yeah.
we're phonies. Oh no.
That's true, actually.
Uh, so yeah. How are your feet? Were you called to action by this song?
I didn't sign up for a foot podcast, Jesse. We're not. There are some lines we don't cross.
Hold on. Okay. So, getting over the whole phone theme that we've seemed to stumble upon. Kay, don't let me down with your song, I swear.
I will, don't
Oh,
worry.
no. So the first thing that stood out to me is, well, the second thing that stood out to me, the first thing that stood out to me is that I've never heard this group before, despite their success. So that's cool. So this was a brand new exposure to me, which I was really grateful to experience. But the second thing that I noticed was those vocals. Those vocals were amazing, and me being just, for the lack of a better word, an idiot, and not being able to, really process information. I don't know if you answered whether or not they do vocals themselves or not, or if it was just the guest vocalist that did the vocals for this song. But the vocals were incredible. I was blown away. The singing from the very beginning and the harmonies were just so beautiful. And we also got Victoria on there as well later on in the second verse, and what a gorgeous contribution as well. So yeah, I was just very, very blown away with just the vocal work to begin with. Just beautiful.
Yeah, it's all guest vocalists for their work. They just play the instruments or get additional instruments to be played if there's a lot of them going on, because they can't possibly play like a whole brass section at the same time. Although I guess they could layer it if they're just recording in the studio, But anyways, I think there's a lot of advantages that they have to bringing in so many different artists. Like props to them for being able to bring in so many different people to be like, yes, I want to work with them. But it allows a lot of range in their style, that like if an artist is a hip hop artist, it'll be a hip hop song. If they're an R&B artist, it'll be an R&B song. That sort of thing. So each song, each contribution or contributor makes the song very different. And on this one, I don't know if it's because Victoria Canal is Spanish, but like it's got like very like I think a little salsa-y with the brass section and the rhythms going on there. So I thought that was cool.
I think there's a lot of props deserved for Brasstracks, though, for being able to bring out so much of every vocalist they work with. And I am somewhat familiar with Brasstracks, although not this song before Jesse brought it. Also through the Lawrence feature that I love, and I listened to that album once and saved a couple others and heard them a few times. But every artist that they work with, I think they just do a really great job of highlighting that artist's strengths, which is a skill in and of itself. I think you even hear it in this song with the difference in the production between Elliott's verse, that first verse, and Victoria's verse, the second verse, where everything kind of drops out and her soft vocals just really shine there. I really liked hearing what they did with the two very different, like complementary, but very different voices in this song.
Yeah, Elliott has this sort of brassy quality to his voice as well, which makes it really, really fun when like he comes in with the brass section. and it's kind of an aside, but like this is a song that I have started using for testing out headphones because I have a few different pairs. So like figuring out like what's this headphone good for, or like how does this sound by comparison? Because this has really deep sub bass going on, it has male vocals, it has female vocals, it has rhythm, it has like high treble with the horns. And horns are really good for like tonal testing because like you know what a horn is supposed to sound like. If it sounds weird, there's a problem there, or at least you know there's something a little different going on. And just like the range is there through the whole song, and it's got so many different things going on. Like it just it's a very cohesive whole with like a lot of parts that are working really well.
Now that you mentioned headphones, I got really distracted by your headphones, Jesse. What is happening? There's like a thing that goes up over your head, and then there are like two cords coming down. What is that?
Um,
Brief description,
this is the Hi-Fi Men Aria SE. This is the fancy schmanciest pair of headphones I own. They're open back planar headphones. And the two thingies is because they're balanced. So that it has to do with like power and signal, like having a stronger signal to each of them. Whereas if you have it single ended, you can't do balanced. Um, so
I'm
I
unbalanced.
I don't want to get into like the weeds with the technicalities, but like they're it's a fancy smancy headphone because I'm a fancy boy. Um, but
I
like
think you should put like you should weave flowers around that top bar. You have like a little flower halo from your headphones.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're really detailed. I love them. Although they're so detailed, sometimes when I put on my normal pair, like I suddenly feel like things are muffled, which is a little. But like then I get used to it. They're also too fancy to the point where I feel like I can't wear them all the time because I don't want to like sweat on them and get them dirty. And so it's just like if I'm really sitting down and listening to music, then I'll wear them. But otherwise, they're gonna stay in their box and be pristine as possible.
I'll look forward to the flower crown next week.
These guys says Jesse's all about power. That's the background. I am trying to emulate Sauron the Magnificent. Ah, yes.
Back to Brasstracks.
Back to Brasstracks.
What was that face, Alexis?
I was trying to get
That
back.
was pure judgment.
I was trying to figure out where we were in the discussion, but I think the last point that you brought up was actually a good springboard to what I wanted to talk about next. So you using this track as one of like your headphone testing tracks, I think is really cool because something that I really noticed about this song that possibly really lends itself so well to being a good testing song for headphones is how this song feels like a very seamless blend of live acoustic production as well as digital production. I would say that the live acoustic stuff is a bit heavier and heavier in terms of like what's happening more often. Because I barely noticed the like sampling and the digital production stuff as much as I was noticing the live stuff. It seems like they are definitely favoring that a little bit more. But the fact that you get both is really good because you're getting these quantized and things that are happening in a very granular way, balanced with the live acoustic stuff, which is going to be more variable. It's going to have a different character as the signal goes through the or the audio goes through the signal. So yeah, you're going to get both of those to test out on a single song. But just as a detail of the song itself, I think that's amazing because like I think it really lends to the warmth of this song as well.
Yeah, I mean warmth is I think really accurate. I think anything that's going to have brass and acoustic guitar is going to kind of lend itself to that.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of like the digital, I think the most like noticeable thing to me is that like really deep bass that goes on.
Mhm.
It's another thing where like I'm not a bass head, but like I get it when I listen to this song, what the appeal is for that.
Mhm.
Uh, and I think a really cool thing is also like for me sometimes on the album it's a little distracting having the voicemails, but for this one it made me feel kind of like I was standing outside the club with the person who was talking, and then like after he's done talking I get kind of sucked in like right in front of the stage, and it just hits really hard there. I thought that was cool.
Mhm.
I actually didn't know about the context of the voicemails on this album. Like I said, I did listen through the album once, so I appreciate the background there. I remember the one at the end of the Lawrence song because I've listened to it so much. But but yeah, it makes sense. And I think maybe I don't know. Is it possible that they are like messages that they had received or similar conversations they had had early on in their career? They've
um
just recreated?
I should do more digging with the interviews, but like I think it's very possible that they might have been text messages or emails or something that were dramatically reenacted. Because I can
Right.
imagine like they probably had a lot of pushback because like neo soul is coming in to its own nowadays. Like Lawrence, I think, is a prime example of that. And like that's been a lot of what I've been listening to recently. So I don't know if I'm a little biased on that. Like I just discovered neo soul, so like now I'm into it, and now I assume it's getting bigger because that's my perspective. But like the fact that they are so successful themselves as producers and collaborators, like I think speaks to like yes, brass sections are now popular and doable from a professional perspective as well as like something that they're making for fun. Um, yeah.
And sorry to distract from this song on its own, but I was so like my mind was broken when I learned that they were just a producer duo and not a whole band.
Yeah.
Because I just heard their song on like a, Discover Weekly or like a Release Radar or something like that on Spotify, just a playlist that was generated for me. So I had no context for who they were or what they were doing or anything like that. And I was like, this is two dudes? Like two dudes do this? That's that doesn't seem right. It feels like with the how big their productions can be. And on this song even it is like incredibly detailed and there is a lot going on. It feels like it's like the amount of expertise it takes, it feels like to have that much happening. It feels like they should be at least twice as many people. I think that that's really cool.
Yeah. Trick Switch says brass is back, baby, and I agree 10,000%. As to what you were
Brass never
saying,
should have left.
brass never should have left.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, it does really blow my mind and impress me an awful lot. Just the range that they have and like the complexity of their compositions. That everything like is really catchy, and every song stands alone as like a well completed, like complex work. And I think this is a prime example with Will Call that like they have the chops to like do everything in the production, like songwriting, like producing, instrumentation, that sort of thing. And like even if they're bringing in a band, like directing the band is like a whole other skill that they have, which is really cool.
Really incredible. I tuned out for a second when we were talking about the vibe on this song because I was responding to and making a joke in the chat. I'm sorry, but one thing I really like about this song is just how groovy it is. It's it's really catchy, but it's also not super distracting. I like super distracting sometimes. I'm the one who liked the haunted harpsichord in Meaningful Stone, um but I do enjoy a good groove too.
Use Guys says this is the 20s, which is correct. So we're looping around.
Yeah.
All right.
That's all we
Um,
ever do.
either of you have anything else you want to add in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if like you had any difficulty with picking a song from them to feature. But to me, I want to say, like, I think you knocked it out of the park with this song, picking this song, because uh, I mean, I haven't heard anything else, but it seems like they have like a lot of range. So it seems like it could have been a difficult decision to make on, like, all right, if I'm going to feature Brasstracks, what am I going to feature? And I think this one is a bit of I mean, from my point of view, it seems like it would probably have been like a bit of a tougher one to like sign off on, just because of like the lower energy. It's like maybe people will feel it, maybe people won't. But for me, I actually really loved the lower energy. I really loved getting to hear just the swells of the instrumentation that they were able to do, because of like the lower energy and the lower tempo, and kind of like the sauciness of it. I think like just the overall vibe is just amazing, and it really pulled me in, and I'm really grateful for this being my first experience, because two amazing guest vocalists. The energy is just amazing. I really liked getting sucked into it. I think the pre-chorus sounds amazing, so beautiful. It's just this brief moment of just like this swell of sound. It's incredible. And I think the thing that I really liked the most was that this sounds like a radio song that you would hear like on the radio like in the 2000s, and not like that they were trying to do that. Like, it doesn't sound like that, but like the way the chorus hook is like written, it sounds like the kind of like hooky chorus thing that you would get latched onto in the 2000s. It has like that sort of vibe, that sort of energy, and I really like that. It makes me want to listen to it more, and just repeat it nonstop. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I've probably listened to this a little too much, but like definitely like I hear what you're saying. Like they've got that tude going on where the singers are really feeling themselves, and the brass is a little sassy itself.
Mhm.
And speaking to that, like what you'd hear in the 2000s, like they have the structures there. Like you could replace these instruments with a whole bunch of other stuff, and I think the song
Mhm.
would still work really well. It just happens to have brass, and like the sound is great. Although I guess I would asterisk that a little bit, in that like it's hard to have salsa music without brass instruments. It would sound a little weird, I think, but
Yeah.
you could still have
Let's
that
try
like
it out.
Latin rhythm going on with other stuff for sure.
How about recorders?
And
And theremin.
and vuvuzela.
And a
Vuvuzela.
what?
A
Vuvuzela.
vuvuzela.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. Anything else, Kay?
What else do we need to know about Brasstracks?
Brasstracks, like they have lots of collaborations. This is their 2020 album, which is their last big album. But I think there are some stirrings of more collabs and like another album push coming out, because they have released a few singles since then. And there was one live recording they did with Tori Kelly where they're like, we're so glad we're back. I think one of them had their birthday, so it was like, this is the best birthday ever, which was really cute. But yeah, they're really good. Check out their collaboration list, because I think it's a little surprising how big they've gotten. Like Mark Ronson is another huge producer. So like if they're writing for one of the biggest producers in the industry, like that's kind of huge. Although like maybe don't check out all their stuff, because there's some other collab artists that they have that I want to share in the future. But they have like a really good cross section of all sorts of different artists who are all really good. They make great choices in terms of who they collaborate with. So good stuff overall. Yeah. All right, Kay.
Here we go. I don't think I've followed the phone theme today, but we have a different theme that Jesse, you may not have actually been aware of that you were following, and that is the like at least somewhat Korean music associated, because I was just checking out Brasstracks collaboration list, and they have worked with BTS. So clearly Alexis's face has melted on the lower half in response to that, but Anyway, I knew Alexis was bringing me a meaningful stone, and so I was actually trying to give us a lot of variety and try to avoid having 2K indie artists, trying to decide what to bring this week, and I kind of succeeded, although only on a technicality. So the artist I'm bringing today, YESEO, is a 27-year-old South Korean self-taught singer-songwriter and electronic producer. She writes, performs, and produces all of her music herself. And while she is independent, K-indie, she doesn't really make like indie music in the genre. It's much more electronic. So we're counting it as variety today. I decided it counted. It was okay. I have loved YESEO since I first heard her song Damn, the title of the song, off of her 2018 album called Damn Rules. Over the years, YESEO's sound has evolved from the dark, sexy tones of Damn Rules all the way to the bright and busy sound of her 2021 EP called Try Free, with an exclamation point. Try Free! You're excited about it. In May of this year, YESEO announced a new project called Silky with a single called Sin or Cinderella. I think Sin is the Korean title technically, and it gets translated as Cinderella in English, but I always just see the two together. In my opinion, this new project seems to be a blending of all of the sounds that she's experimented with over the years, which is really cool to listen to. And just about a month ago, she teased the demos for, not the songs themselves, but like a screenshot of the demos for what looks like a full Silky album. So I'm really looking forward to hearing what comes next in her journey. Another artist I couldn't find really a lot of information about, at least in a language that I could read and understand and trust. So I decided to bring her anyway and just move on with it. I lost my train of thought entirely. I'm so sorry. But I find Try Free to be really uplifting, her album from 2021, her EP. So I really wanted to bring something off of this release. This 5-song EP, if you can really call it that, it's actually only 2 songs with an intro and 2 instrumentals. So maybe it's a single album, I'm not sure. But rather than trying to decide between the 2 songs, which are both my favorite, I made our Listen In Discord choose for me. So shout out to Claudia for choosing number 2. The song we'll listen to today is Free Up, which is also the lead single. This song was written, produced, and performed by YESEO, who again now is using the name Silky. Free up your mind for Free Up. Enjoy.
Okay, I'm in the zone now. Please don't hold your step. Ready to be yourself now. And just feel who you are. Don't need to fear that pass it this time it's your last stage of your life. Free up your mind, free up your body, free up your heart, free up your mind, free up your body. Somebody, I'm gonna free up right now. Free up your mind, free up your body. gonna free up right now. Free up your mind. I'm gonna free up right now.
Welcome back. Are you feeling free? Freed up?
I'm free. Bye,
You're
guys.
free. Have a sock for your bare feet after the last one.
Yeah, it's such a jam. Really a bop. A lot going
I
on.
hope you expected nothing less.
Oh, it's one of your songs, of course it's gonna be a bop. Yeah, I think there's a lot going on. It's really fun having the constant like stereo surround sound sort of like pops and rhythms and beat boops. And I think what really hooked me in though is it sounded very much like a mid to late 90s song. Like it's like house adjacent, like, or like it's still got that house structure and melody sort of thing going on, but like in that era they started going like a little softer with the sort of sound palettes that they're doing more whispery. So it's house-ish, like maybe call it penthouse, I don't know. But it did remind me a lot of that music, and her vocals in particular like made me really nostalgic, and I kind of got fixated on it a little bit when I was listening to it. Is like, who does this sound like? It sounds like somebody for sure. And if you will indulge me for a moment, I found a few examples. Let's see if this works. I don't know if it will from a technical standpoint, but I thought of there's a few people. Dido or Dido. I think it's Dido.
I think
Her
it's
song
Dido.
Thank You.
Tea's gone cold, I'm wondering why I got out of bed at all.
Like that one. Like that sort of soft thing going on, and the rhythms are very similar. And then we've got from a whispery like tonal thing, Natalie Imbruglia.
This is how I feel.
Like almost there.
I am shamed, lying naked
I don't hear it as
on the
much.
You don't hear that as much? Like just from the vocals? No? Okay.
No, not as
Um,
much.
Then I think she also kind of sounds a bit like Sade. Sade? Sade? I don't know how to pronounce that either.
ruling the way that I move.
But like the rhythms going
I
on.
breathe your
And then like
air.
the breathiness, but like obviously a lot higher pitch. And like a little bit of Crush by Jennifer Page, which is 1998.
It's just some little thing, not like everything I do.
Yeah. But that's what I like. I was so fixated on it. It's like, this sounds familiar, so I had to like go through like a 500 songs from the 90s list and be like, okay, what does this sound like?
I appreciate your dedication, Jesse. But
Yeah.
apparently the people listening couldn't really hear us over what you were playing, Jesse. So did you
Oh.
have anything you wanted to repeat that you said while you were playing them?
I enjoy the gist of it is I think it sounds similar, mostly in the vocals, but there are aspects of like the rhythm and like the sort of instrumentation that are being used on those songs that I think are really reminiscent of this one. But this has more modern things, more contemporary things going on too. Like the bridge is very contemporary EDM by comparison, which those other songs are not, because that hadn't been done yet.
Alexis, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I was having a very similar experience to Jesse in that it also reminded me of something or someone, and I think Jesse had more success in being able to figure out which ones it was reminding him of. To me, I think I'm going to need to think about it some more, but it did sound familiar, not in like a copycat sort of way. It's just more of like a colorway. You know, yeah, it reminded me of something else, just in terms of color. But yeah, to kind of go back to a point that Jesse made, there are like some really cool audio treats that are happening on this song, and it's making me wonder, you know, maybe would this be a contender for Jesse's headphone test out playlist, because it's doing some really cool stuff, mostly in panning, but that final chorus, like there's a lot of stuff happening on that final chorus that I feel like, you know, with a good pair of headphones would probably be quite the experience.
Yeah, I mean, it would definitely test out things like um soundstage and imaging and like
Hmm.
instrument separation, because there's so much going on. Like, can you hear all the layers and like
Hmm.
instruments and sounds that are happening? And it's like, yeah, it's important, and it's
Hmm.
really fun. It's cool. Like that's like it's you can think of it as gimmicky, but like I think it adds a lot to the music listening experience when that stuff's going on. It, like,
Hmm.
definitely just makes it stand out as a song.
Hmm.
I mean, everything in songs are truly anything beyond just like here's a melody and some lyrics is sort of a gimmick. I don't think
Hmm.
that's a problem really. But for me, I love that sort of EDM drop, sort of a double drop. It like drops once, you kind of think it's done, and then it does something even more.
Hmm.
And I remember the first time I listened to it, it really, I love how much it just opens up, especially with the song being about just generally kind of being about like letting go of anxieties and fears and free up your mind, not as in like have some sort of enlightenment, but as in like free yourself of being worried about all of the things that don't matter, and instead like allow yourself to enjoy the moment and be happy with what matters, which maybe that is enlightenment, I don't know. But the drop to me, when it just opens up like that and gets especially during that really pretty like build with that melody that comes in, it just, for me, that feels freeing to hear. It feels like it's doing what it's telling you to do. And I do love how like the bottom kind of drops out for a minute before it really goes into that last final big chorus.
Hmm.
But that moment is just my favorite thing in the song for sure.
Yeah, I don't even know if I want to call it like an instrumental bridge or if it's an instrumental break. I guess it really doesn't really matter at that
It's
point.
electronic. I think it's a
Yeah,
drop.
yeah,
Yeah.
but that section was so amazing. Like it really like threw me off my feet the first time I heard it, and just the sounds that are happening. It sounds like extremely like video gamey in a way, like not
Mm.
just the synth sounds themselves, they sound kind of video gamey, but like also what they're doing sounds kind of like video gamey. Like the melodies and like the chirpiness of it feels like you could hear that in a video game and it wouldn't feel out of place, which I found that to be quite attractive, I would say, for the song, because we kind of get these expectations of like what an EDM song does or like what a pop song does, and pop music, rock music, and video game music, they've flirted with each other, plenty of times before, and it's nothing new. But getting to see that kind of like video gamey sort of like melodic writing in context of a EDM song or a pop song, it's always still like really nice to see. It's always really refreshing, and I think like we get like a big punch of like video game sort of sounds, regardless if it was intentional or not, from this song, which I really, really enjoyed, especially that instrumental break. Like it's wild. I love it.
There is a music video for this song. I don't know if either of you watched it ahead of the thing. I said it was not required. It's cute. She it is, I think, her first time dancing in a music video, and so it's like a little bit awkward, which is why I wasn't like, yeah, go check out the music video. And it's I mean, she's an independent artist. It's like pretty I don't want to say it's low. It's not low quality, but it's like it's not going to be as intricate as even
Mhm.
like the Meaningful Stone one that has the underwater and all of that.
Yeah.
But it is cute if you wanted to check it out and see her with her first on-screen dancing. She
Cool.
did well, even though it feels a little awkward. But she freed up her mind and she faced her
Yeah.
fears and she freed up her body. So look at that.
Yeah.
Followed her own advice.
Mm-hmm.
Do y'all have
Uh,
anything? Oh, go ahead.
yeah. Small little thing here. When I was listening to the song, um, I wish I was paying more attention to the lyric of when this was happening, so I could call to it a little bit more accurately. But there is a part in this song. I think it's like the last like vocal run sort of thing that happens at the end of the verse, just before the chorus. Um, that vocal hook that's happening, because it does happen a couple of times, it sounds so much like a Lucy melody, and I was like, I wonder if like Kay caught on to that as well, and you know if maybe you drew a connection there, but it definitely reminded me of a Lucy song, and I don't remember which Lucy song as well, but it just sounded very very much like Lucy, and I was like, ooh, I wonder if Kay caught on to that as well.
I feel like this song, this EP really, and like Lucy's music does have a similar brightness to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see that even though I don't know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But I think they both have that sort of feel good sound
Mm-hmm.
to it.
Yeah. Aside from that, I think the last thing and probably like one of the bigger things about this song and getting exposed to it, for me, it's from what I can tell, this doesn't really sound like anyone that I'm currently listening to,
Mm.
in terms of like the musical expression, because we were talking about earlier how like, you know, oh, this reminds me of somebody, but that's more of like just like what the voice is doing in terms of like the color and the singing style. But in terms of what you know, how she's expressing herself artistically and musically, this doesn't really sound like anything that I'm currently listening to. If I was to like maybe like just stretch it as far as possible, maybe it sounds kind of like similar to like some Perfume songs, which I know is J-pop, but even then, like I think like that's still a bit of a stretch, because like I think like what Perfume does is a bit different in terms of like spirit, than what we're hearing from YESEO. But yeah, I think this definitely stands out to me as like something that isn't really actively something that I'm listening to right now, which is really cool. Like it makes me want to dive into more of her stuff, because I'm not going to get it anywhere else, at least from what I'm currently listening to. So I think this was really cool.
Jesse, you have anything else you want to add?
Perfume makes a lot of sense to me. I'm not
Mm.
super familiar with them. I mostly know them because they were covered by Pentatonics, and that
Mm.
particular song has like a lot of like popping in and out, with the production, and like some of the like at least tones of the instruments are very similar to what's happening here.
Yeah.
So like I get that. Like it makes a
Mhm.
lot of sense to me. Yeah. But other than that, yeah, this is a lot of fun song.
I do think, like I said, this EP was her brightest release so far. Her earlier couple of releases really are. I mean, I love them. They're really cool. They are really dark, sexy is all I have to describe them. There, which is not what you expect listening to this. I know that it is a huge contrast. I played them back to back a while back for my girlfriend,
Mhm.
and she was like, she was like, who is that for the first one? Who is that for the second one? I was like, it's the same artist. She had no
Uh-huh.
idea. She was like, it's the same. I was like, yeah, I mean, it's been like 3 years, but it's the same artist. It is a really different sound for her. And I think Cinderella from Silky blends the two really well. But I think it's going to be hard for her to top Try Free. For me, this song, Free Up, and Youthful Kids, the other full-length track on this, are just sort of euphoric in a way. Like they're just so
Mm.
bright and happy and pretty, and but that busy electronic sound still happening, and her like cool whispery vocals. happening over top of it. So check out that, but also check out her other stuff for just a little bit of a different sound if you're curious what her other stuff sounds like. Especially Silly Silky with Cinderella. I think it's worth seeing where she's going next. That's all I
Cool.
have. Well, thanks for listening, you all, to our 3 songs. And you can follow us. Like, follow, comment, subscribe. I should just read the notes that Jesse's left for us on the screen. But you can follow us on Twitch and Instagram and YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and TikTok, but we still haven't posted anything yet because I've been really busy. I'm sorry. Send us some love, but also follow the artists and check them out. If you like them, listen to more music from them and let us know what you think. You can let us know on any of our socials, or go ahead and join us in our Discord and talk to us directly there, or both. If you wanna do us a favor all around, the socials do love some engagement. So, but we'll look forward to talking to you all on the Discord too.
Yeah, if
That's all
you
I got.
don't have anything specific to say, you can just leave us your favorite emoji in our YouTube comments or anything, because engagements.
Yeah.
Please tell us how you feel about all of Jesse's hot takes about Beyonce. That really would help our engagement a lot. Maybe we should just post that on Twitter. Just cut out that part of the video. And
Yeah.
Yeah, just don't track me down in real life for that stuff. Just keep it online.
we'll put a filter over your face and like over
From
your
now
voice
on.
too. Yeah. No, just in that clip. We'll remove your name. Nobody will know which one of us it was. Undercover hot takes. Cool. That's all we have. Thanks for listening.
Yay.
Thanks for listening. Bye.
I just hit myself in the face. Bye.
Bye.
All right.